You're live.
Okay, I am
Editor.
live.
Button.
Just
Blue.
a couple
Heading
of
level 2.
things.
2
One
items.
second.
Which?
One sec.
Display brightness. 88%. 94%. 100.
That should be enough for you to see me. Hi. It's been a little bit since I was live. And I wasn't sure if I was going to do this second blind anticipates for Stardust in Their Veins because it's actually coming out next week, which means I will be reading Castles in Their Bones this weekend, if not just like Monday. But I will be rereading Castles in Their Bones this weekend, at least, or soon before it comes out. Point is, though, there's a reason I am doing this second part. There's very little for me to talk about. But the thing is that the Audible synopsis and the Goodreads synopsis are different last I checked. So I wanted to talk about the Audible synopsis. And in case you haven't heard the Goodreads synopsis, I'm going to read it out here too. What other announcements do I want to make? I'm hoping to come live tomorrow again so that I can do my January wrap up. If you if you remember my last live stream, I mentioned that I'm planning to do 100 books this year. I'm going to talk about 13 of the 13 things that I read, but on Goodreads it says I read 33 books because of the way I count my challenge. But that's not so bad. So that's not, you know, yeah. And on Friday I won't have a video out because I don't have my reaction ready for then. So my next reaction for Overlord will not be this Friday, but next Friday. So instead, I am going to try to go live, maybe in the morning, because I want to do like a writing sprint, um, or something like writing sprints. Maybe, and I might just do those in the morning because I really like writing in the morning. So I might just do really, um, I might just do some like live streams in the morning to write. Maybe I'll do them like on Fridays because I know I can't do Wednesdays and Monday, and I usually watching my own live streams on Monday and Tuesday and so on and so forth. Although I actually could technically, no, actually I can't because I would be pausing things and yeah. Anyway, so I might do like I'm trying to get one live. I want to see if I could get one live stream a week at least for writing slash anything else, mainly writing sprints because I do want to do that. So I want to try to go live a couple of times this week, maybe tomorrow for wrap up. That depends because I do have to make some calls and have to do some other stuff. So yeah, that is my very long rant. What other things do I want to talk about? I'm trying to stop for time right now because I need to look for the book. So I'm gonna read the Goodreads synopsis first, and then give you my thoughts based on that, and then from there I am going to just give you my any other thoughts on the Audible one. So I what else? I mean, that's very little for me to talk about today. I just have like I have a I went to I've had class today. I need to learn a route for the bus stop to my building, it seems, or at least get in touch. At least get in touch um with the some other transportation. So I might be doing double transportation. It's exhausting. But if I would have taken it at night, it would have been more exhausting. So it's fine. Okay. So I found the Goodreads synopsis. And by the way, this book is coming out next week, February 7th. So let me just but I probably won't be able to get to it until the weekend. So anyway, let me just read the Goodreads synopsis so you're aware of the differences, unless somehow by luck, uh by any luck, uh oh no, it's the same. I was gonna say by any luck that they're like that they're that they have gotten the same, but they are technically different. It's the same thing I've read. So this is the original synopsis I made in anticipation to in the first video. I'll link it below when I write descriptions, because I usually start these live streams without a description. So I'll probably write a description for my live streams on Saturday. That's kind of a thing. So if you happen to be watching this later in the weekend, you'll get a description later on for like Saturday or something. Okay, so here's what I have. This is the original synopsis that I did a blind anticipates to probably like last year. Immerse yourself in the second book in a fantasy trilogy from the New York Times bestselling author of the Ash Princess series. The sequel to Castles in Their Bones is the story of three princesses and the destiny they were born for: seduction, conquest, and the crown. Princesses Beatrice and Daphne have lost their older sister, but their mother's grand scheme of taking the continent of Wisteria is far from complete. So I should have probably mentioned this, but spoilers. So at the end of the book, at the end of Castles in Their Bones, Daphne is definitely implied to have been executed. And this book basically just confirms that this synopsis definitely confirms that she basically died. So, and by the end, we actually get a chapter in Margaret's point of view, Margaret being the Empress. So we get a point of view from her, where she does say like it was technically a planned assassination. She can kind of see how her daughter sort of reacted. So her plan clinches on the fact that they will die, and she'll get the and she will get the countries, because they killed her daughters and stuff. So that is something that as a thing, and each of them kind of reacts. Each of these princesses is pretty different. Like you have what is it? Beatrice is kind of like the sweet one who wants to kind of help everybody. Daphne is a little bit. Wait, no, not Beatrice. I'm sorry. Daphne is kind of like the really. No, that's Sophie. Okay, I'm wrong. Sophie is kind of like the really sweet one that kind of wants to help everybody, and she fell in love with the person she was supposed to marry. And she did begin to like fall in love with him again. Beatrice is a little bit more out there. She's a little bit more rebellious, and Daphne is kind of the one who kind of is trying to follow the plan, but also thinks very similarly to her mother and all the interesting things. So that is like the thing I wanted to mention. But yeah, it's definitely implied that Sophie, I kept saying Daphne, but Sophronia is basically dead. So yeah, it is a very it was a very sad ending, but definitely a good thing to look forward to, a good cliffhanger. I'll say that. So the rest says, with the country of Temerin now under the Empress's control, only the nations of Celaria and Freve remain free from her rule. And each of these girls, by the way, is married to basically either a prince. Both of them are married to Daphne and Beatrice are married to princes, and then Sophie or Sophronia was married to a king, who she basically helped escape before the execution became a thing. So yeah. Let's see. What's worse, an ominous prophecy has begun to shine through the constellations, the blood of stars and majesty spilled. So it does sound like we kind of got to understand with Beatrice at the end of the book that they have star powers, that they have magic. And I think that's a very interesting magic system though, with the stars. It has to do somehow with the stars about how they did things, and I like the way that kind of works. we didn't have, I don't remember much of the explanation regarding the magic system, but I did like what I saw, and I'm very curious to see how that magic system is going to become. So it says the blood of stars and majesty spilled. So to me, it sounds like their blood, because they have like the power to the magic powers of the stars and all that stuff, but also their majesty to me seems like Daphne, not Daphne, I'm sorry, Sophie, because Sophie was queen. Um, so to me, it sounds like she is she would be majesty and a highness because she was queen. So that is probably part of the prophecy, and I'm hoping to find out more about the prophecy in the other book. Okay. Usurped by conniving cousins Nico and Gigi, Beatrice fears for her life, while in Icy Freve, Daphne continues her shaky alliance with the rebels even as she struggles to stay a step ahead of them. So the rebels did actually form an interesting friendship with Daphne in the books, and Beatrice was sent to like a almost like a nunnery, I think it is. And in this point, though, Daphne is still trying to follow the plan as best as she can. Let's see. But it says here, but when an unlikely ally offers Beatrice a deal, she finds herself back in her mother's sights. The question is, who is this unlikely ally? Probably someone betrayed, maybe by Margaro, or maybe even someone she knows / knew, and that person became her ally. Okay. With enemies around every corner and the stars whispering of betrayal, well, their mother is betraying them because they had been given a year. The princes were given a year to complete their mission, and they would meet back in I think it's called Vicemia. I think that's what their kingdom is called, Vicemia. And they were gonna be met back in a year, and the sisters were like, "Yay, we'll meet back in a year! Great!" Like they were really happy, and they hated being separated, but they would be really happy. They would be happy. They were very happy because they were gonna meet in a year, but that didn't happen. So there is betrayal. So I wonder, are these stars whispering to the princesses at some point about the fact that, hey, you're being betrayed by your mom? Or are the stars whispering to Margaro, explaining like, you're going to be betrayed by your daughters? That's what I'm wondering. Let me see. Corner and the stars whispering of betrayal. Daphne and Beatrice can't trust anyone, least of all each other. Yeah, because each of them had a secret mission. That's the thing. Let me see. If they've learned anything, though, it's that the Empress's game is constantly changing. And also that Daphne is pretty much the only one that might be able to figure out what she's doing, is what I learned as a reader. And the arrival of surprise visitors from Temerin just might tip the scales in the princess's favor if they manage to avoid meeting their sister's fate before they can make their next move. So, what I'm thinking about this visitor, by the way, I'm thinking these visitors might be definite Leopold, who used to be, Sophie's husband, and maybe they will form some alliance, probably because they realize, like, hey, because I think Temerin and Freve were not, um, they were not allied with, no, Temerin and and Celeria were not allied with Freve for some reason or another. I can't remember what it was. But I feel like, hey, maybe they might ally because they realize their bigger enemy is Margaro, but at the same time, Celeria does not believe in magic, and they don't like magic, and also it's definitely obvious that Margaro is also using Gigi and Nico somehow. So that is kind of like my first What is this? Okay, sorry. So that it does sound like something that could be a thing. I don't know. Maybe I may just be. I don't think there's anything. I don't know if anything I said is kind of similar to what I said in that prediction because I did not watch it beforehand. But these are some of the things I can think about. Now, I have the other one open now. So those are kind of my thoughts on that. Is anyone? Let me see if there's anything in chat. By the way.
Heading level 2, 2 items. Heading level 2, 2 items. List tab. Anexis Matos turn on subscribers only mode. Only channel subscribers. Anexis Matos. Chat publicly as a reaction. Engage with your 0/200. Send. Image. Image. Your image.
I don't see anything here. All right.
Enough. Heading level 2, 2 items. List tab mode. Edit. Button. Group. And switch. Bullet. Bullet. 0. Image. 0. Image. 15. 50. List.
Oh.
Your 15. 52.
Cool. 15 minutes.
Image. Edit. Button. Group.
I did end up changing the chat to subscribers mode, by the way, because it makes sense to me. Anywho, let's see. So the other synopsis gives us a little bit more detail, and that's the one I kind of want to also talk about. See what I can gather from this. Keep in mind that I remember big picture details, but I have not read Castles and Their Bones in about a year. So I will be rereading it this weekend, and I can probably get more predictions then. Before now, let's see. So here's what we have here. Immerse yourself in the second book in a fantasy trilogy from the New York Times bestselling author of the Ash Princess series. The sequel to Castles in Their Bones is a story of three princesses and the destiny they were born for: seduction, conquest, and the crown. So as you can see, they do start the same way. But here's where they differ. Princesses Daphne, Beatrice, and Sophronia have trained their entire lives for one purpose: to bring down nations. So that is something we do learn in the first book and in the synopsis of the first book. So if you have not read it, read it. Their mother, Empress Margaret and of Bohemia, I was right, it's called Bohemia, is determined to rule the continent of Visteria, and her daughters are her weapons. So interestingly enough, one of the things I find really interesting is that you kind of already know she's a villain from the beginning of the books. So you know she's a villain, although the daughters kind of know what she's like and they see the bad things she can do, but they do think that their mother is good in the long run, I think, from what I remember. So yeah, let's see. Promised for marriage since birth, they are her ticket across enemy lines. And it's true because at the end of the day, she would basically have allies. They would basically be kind of like her allies, almost. Like they would be like her they would basically be her way into places because they would be princesses and soon to be queens. So yeah. And for the princess, and if they're princesses still in that area, they would basically be able to, if the sons if the sons fell in love with them, they would basically be able to influence the princess in one way or another, basically, or at least influence the family and get enough information to do what they need. Okay, and also her decoys. Okay, so we kind of have an idea of how she thinks of them, which is good. Still, not even Empress Margaret can control the stars. So that's something I wonder. Again, I have questions about that magic system in the stars. I need to know more about the stars. Sent to their new kingdoms, orders in hands, the princesses have found their own paths, changing the course of their mother's plans entirely and tragically. Right, because at the end of the day, Beatrice thrives a little bit in Celeria because she ends up making friends. And even if she's kind of lying, she does end up making friends. Daphne is the king basically loves her kind of like a daughter. It's kind of adorable. And even though he doesn't know she's lying to him. And she also does make some friends with the rebels, but definitely with I don't remember his name. The one that she's meant to marry. She also so Sophie or Sophronia also ends up making pretty much a life with in friendship with Leo. Uh, and at first, there was definitely Viley, I think it was her name. So she did at first, even though Viley ended up betraying her. But there was a lot. They did end up living different lives, which at the end probably made things difficult for Margaro, who did try to keep them under her control. Okay. Sophronia chose love, and for that, she lost her life. Yeah. That was really sad because I really liked Sophie. Daphne and Beatrice can hardly believe their sister is dead, but both are determined to avenge her. So, this makes me wonder if they're going to work together in one way or another to basically kill the people who ended up killing um killing Sophie. But at the same time, I do think that the rebels are being controlled by the Empress because she probably knows all this stuff and they're probably following her plan as well. Because Viley followed her plan. And if because even Leopold's mother was into Sophie's plan. So not Sophie's plan, I'm sorry, Margaro's plan. So it makes me wonder if that also means they're gonna have to figure out a way to work against their mother somehow. Let me see. And now, separated by a continent and their mother's lies, they see more clearly with every passing day that they might not be working toward the same end. They're definitely not. Because the mother also works to kill them to get the continent. Because the whole point is to get 3 daughters, live, and then they will die eventually to get the continent, or to do to have the continent. The person she literally confessed to was actually someone that her husband, I think, had an affair with, or not. No, it was like his wife before she kind of took over because she was the man's mistress. I wonder, did she ever have an heir? That would be very interesting if the wife had like a child. That would be interesting. I don't know. Okay. The stars whisper of death, but Daphne and Beatrice are just beginning to understand the true power coursing through their veins. I think that in the book they mentioned that there was a possibility that they got like that they were actually not the daughters of the emperor, but the daughters of the emperea. So that's something that they said was possible. So hey, who says it's not possible, you know? So that was the thing. Okay. And their mother will do anything to keep them under her thumb, even if it means killing them all. So we have a better idea kind of what to expect from this book, I think, from this synopsis, because we kind of know they're probably going to be working against each other a little, and as well as toward the goal that was originally, I think, like the one that's going to struggle a little bit more is going to be Daphne, because I think Beatrice will see it faster for what it is. And I don't know, I think it'll be a really interesting book. But I wanted to talk about this synopsis. I couldn't record it in an individual video because it's going to come out, February 7th, and I just want to talk about it. So that was kind of it. I just wanted to talk about this. I feel like we're going to definitely get more court intrigue. Maybe Daphne is going to change her mind about her mother's plans. Beatrice might end up in more trouble. Sophronia is unfortunately going to be dead. And Leo, I wonder what will happen to him. Honestly, I do. So those are my thoughts. In the comments, let me know your thoughts. I will hopefully try to come back tomorrow, maybe for a wrap up and stuff like that. I have 13 things to talk about. I'm very excited. So I'll see you soon. I'll write a description probably for this live stream along with the others on Saturday. So any links will be there on Saturday, hopefully. But with that, I'll see you later. Bye.
End stream button. Group. Exit stream. Group. Exit stream. Heading level 1. End stream. Heading level 1. End stream. York. Exit stream. Dialog. Exit stream. Group. End button. Group. Not end button.